Hello, everybody. It's March 10th. I wanted to come on here and really talk about slow motion full swing training. Had quite a few one-on-ones this week, and there's a common denominator of what I'm seeing and why some of you guys are missing the boat on how to do this slow motion training. In the golf swing, we've got to learn how to disassociate the upper body from the lower body without the lower body moving. So when we all came out here, we did the fitness evaluation. I did a test. Can you move your lower body without your upper body moving? And can you move your lower body without your upper body moving? Because when we do the backswing, we're not swinging with our spine vertical. There will be a spine bend, but there's going to be a bend and a spine tilt. And so we're not swinging the golf club around our vertical spine. We're actually swinging it with a tilt like this. And when we do the full swing training, you guys can really master this sequence. It's going to translate into very easy finesse wedges, very easy distance wedges. And so that's why we have you start these best full swing part 1 and then the educating the hands right out of the gate. Because we want to make sure that we focus on the fitness, the flexibility, the stability, mobility. We want to laser focus on skill sets. We're going to laser focus on putting, finesse wedge, bunker, distance wedge, full swing. But since we've got a motor pattern for the last 1 year or 50 years of playing golf, we cannot unlearn that pattern that we've developed. So I want everyone spending a lot of time in a mirror training your brain and your body what muscles and what joints are moving at what point of the swing. And Best Full Swing Part 1 demonstrates how to do that, how to start the shoulders back, what the left arm does, what the right arm does. And so we have a shoulder turn, left arm elevation, and then the finished shoulder turn where the hips are finally starting to move. Some of you have a really, really hard time when I say move your shoulders back. I see your lower body move as well. And you've got to train this, if you can't do it, in a mirror so that you can do it properly. So slow motion training, if I just look at my shoulders here and I make sure that I get my spine tilted, if my spine tilts, well, my head moves back too, and I see some of you keep your head right in the center of your stance, even though you have a spine tilt, and then that messes up your swing as well. So since my head is connected to my neck, when I tilt my spine, well, my head moves to my neck. And my head's not up here, it's bent looking down at the ball. So we can bow, and then once I bow, then I'm going to put my right hand lower than my left, because that's how it is in the club, and now I've got this spine tilt. Right now my weight is perfectly balanced, both sides, and then this one little drill here is just simply, can I pull my shoulder a couple inches behind my head? That's it, that's the first move. It's just 2 inches. And so the first move here is just pull my shoulder behind my head 2 inches, slow motion. Now this is actually fast. It's not really slow motion. Slow motion, for me to go 6 inches, I'll start now. There's no lower body movement. I've moved my shoulders at least 4 inches so far. There's about 6 inches. So the first move is just turning my shoulders around a T-spine on an angle. The shoulders are simply turning around my spine. Now here I'm vertically, the shoulders are turning, they're not dipping, and the spine is not moving side to side. The spine is tilted, and my shoulders are moving around that spine. Let me get this angle here, just like that. So the full shoulder turn, if I do a 90-degree shoulder turn, it's just like that. But a lot of you, when you're doing the slow motion training, you're actually doing this and think you're doing the drill properly. Eventually you're going to be doing this, but that's not how you start. The first move is just, can I get my shoulders slow motion to rotate around my spine? There's 2 inches. And if I go to 4 or 5 or 6 inches, right there would be a perfect distance wedge swing. So if I actually leave my shoulders right there, it's about 45 degrees. If I leave my shoulders there and I elevate my left arm, there's my perfect 9 o'clock distance wedge takeaway. So it's imperative that you train this full swing series in a mirror, slow motion, super slow motion, slower than slow motion. Now we talked about in the training, the first move is the shoulders coming back, and I'm rotating my shoulders around my spine. Now as I do that, if I go a little bit further, and this is not what the part of the training is, if I go a little bit further, it's going to start to load up. I can feel my glute activating. I can feel my quads, I can feel my hamstrings, I can feel my calf muscle, I can feel the weight of the ball of my foot. So now I'm fully loaded up on my backswing. That's a perfect backswing for me. And if you look at those pictures I posted of Arnold Palmer today, his right leg doesn't do any of this. His right leg angles towards the target. The right leg angles towards the target, but it still stays inside this little box. And if we look at the downswing, the left hip will basically hit the wall, that little box, and then everything else just comes up. And so as we go back up and in, and my hands come down, my left shoulder wants to go up, my hip hits the wall, and then I just finish here and I post up. But the backswing has to be drilled and trained, block practice, block practice, block practice, slow motion training. That way when we get to the full swing, you've got a new motor pattern where you've done the educated hands, you know how to cock and uncock, you know how to bend and arch, you know how to turn back and roll through. That's educating the hands and educating the wrists. But for this full swing series, that's all I need to do right there. Now it appears that maybe we went 4 inches total. So that's the first move. The lower body's not moving, the knees aren't moving, the hips aren't turning. There's a disassociation where these lower body is disassociated from the upper body moving. And when I can master even just this 2 to 4 inch shoulder turn, it will translate into a perfect finesse wedge takeaway. When you get to 45 degrees or maybe 6 inches on the shoulder turn back, that'll translate into a perfect 9 o'clock distance wedge swing. As you notice, there wasn't a lot of lower body movement in my distance wedges. This is about control and accuracy and distance control. There's my 9 o'clock distance wedge takeaway. There's my downswing sequence. Here's my finesse wedge takeaway. That's my finesse wedge sequence. Here's my 730 distance wedge takeaway. That's the distance wedge follow through and downswing sequence. And if you're unsure of the difference in the downswing sequences, get on my calendar, ask questions. So by doing this in a mirror, now if you look at my shoulders, they're on an angle here, and if you look at what it looks like in the full swing, when I pull my hands down, my shoulders are still in that position, ball's gone, and I just finished following through with the hip rotation and the knee drive. So you can educate your hands to know how to move the club head, the club shaft, and the club face, and then you do these drills in the mirror so you know how to move the shoulders, the torso, the hips, the knee, the feet, the ankles, the head. Now I'm fully loaded up, then I would squat the square, and all that means is I'm just getting my weight to the other side, and when I keep this right leg from moving, and I rotate around my groin, if I get my groin to angle to shrink, that causes me to squat down and lower my head. And you can see that my right leg is now angled towards the target. And if my right leg is angled towards the target, all I got to do now is just turn my hips and drive my weight to the ball of my left foot. And that's covered in part 2 and part 3 and part 4. So the first move to master is learn how to disassociate the upper body without the lower body moving. Upper body, lower body disassociation. Then once you've mastered the startup, the takeaway, once you've mastered that, and you can do this without the lower body moving, just like this, then we can add in the left arm. Left arm elevates above my shoulders, and then it comes over to my right shoulder, my right ear, somewhere in here. Your body's going to tell you where it fits, right in this little socket, right in between here. Put a glove in there when you're training and keep this arm connected to your body. Since my spine is angled this way and my arm is connected to my body, it's not going to be out. It might be hanging slightly down, or it might be inside, a little bit angled in. If it's angled in, then I can come right at the slot, finish my shoulder turn, elevate my left arm, and then finish the shoulder turn. So the first move is the shoulder turn that we've drilled hundreds of times, slow motion perfectly, so I've done that. Now if I just turn my shoulders, I put my right hand over my arm here and extend out my tricep. That's an extensor action. This keeps the power package in a consistent radius. Now if I just move my shoulders back a couple inches, I didn't move my arm, I just moved my shoulder. My arms are straight down, connected just like this, looks just like this. So I've got this extensor action, and if I had my hand, my number 1 pressure point on top of my thumb, I can still extend out my right tricep, and that straightens out my left arm, and I got this power package. But for training purposes, you can grab your wrist and do that same thing like you're holding the club. Now I've got the spine tilt. I turn my shoulders a couple inches. I didn't move my arm. Now I'm going to start elevating my left arm. As I start to elevate my left arm, I'm going to continue with the shoulder turn, and now I'm full. I got a full backswing. My arms are just above my shoulders. My right leg is angled in. Now all I have to do is just drive my weight and pull my hands down to the ball of the left foot. So that's what the left arm does. So if I do it from this view here, it's just a shoulder turn. Shoulder turn. So my shoulder's here, and I'm coming back 2 inches, just pulling it back behind my head a couple inches. That's the first move. That's the first move. And now look how good I am right there in the finesse wedge. Up the plain toe up. Up the plain toe up. So I get the shoulder turn. Now I'm going to elevate my left arm. And as I elevate my left arm, I'm going to continue my shoulder rotation. Now I'm fully loaded. Now all I have to do from here is just pull my hands down. That puts a lot of depth behind the club behind me versus a lot of students are coming straight down or going out first and think they're coming down. Backswing, and I pull my hands down. So in a mirror, over and over and over, slow motion. If you feel you're not doing it right, I need you guys to shoot your number. I'm here to support you any way I can. But if I can't see it, I can't help you fix it. Because I see a lot of students, doing this really quick, and they're not training the disassociation. So now the first move is a shoulder turn, left arm elevation, and then the shoulder turn. And I even showed you in the part 1 how to add in the left arm. So all we do is just turn the shoulders, left arm here. It's not out. I see a lot of students coming out like this. It's connected right here. Put a glove here so it's connected to my chest. Shoulder turn. Ooh, the club's heavy, so why don't I help it up with the right hand? And you do this to make sure that you're doing it properly. What's the right arm do? What's the trail arm do? It slightly bends and externally rotates. This is not slightly bent. That's 90 degrees. That's slightly bent, somewhere about 73 degrees. So if I have my right wrist on my left arm and I use that extensor action, I keep this right tricep straightened. And if I straighten my right arm throughout the entire swing, as I take it back, I see too many people bending their elbow, the right elbow, and that causes the left arm to break down a little bit. But if I straighten my tri out, now you can see my right arm is slightly bent, not up here. So the right arm slightly bends. That's 90 degrees, that's not. So this extensor action is going to keep the consistent radius, and that's going to eliminate the thin shots and the fat shots. So now the shoulder turn a couple inches, left arm elevation, finish the shoulder turn. My head's pretty much over my right foot. That's perfect. Because then I just put my hands down, now my head's right over the ball. Ball is gone, my head's still over the ball. That's slow motion training. If you train the perfect backswing, and you can do it over and over and over, then it becomes an unconscious, subconscious habit. Then you can figure out the rhythm and timing that you want to have for your backswing. So when I master this best full swing series, if you notice my left arm, so now a couple other things. When I cock my left wrist and I bend my right wrist, look what it does to my left arm. It sends it away from my body. So when you do this takeaway and the club's going like this, your arm's going out. And so you got to be very cautious of what's starting the backswing. You can start it with the club head first, but have it coming straight back. And if you do cock your wrist, or you do if you do bend your right wrist, if I bend my right wrist, it pulls my left arm away from my body. That glove will drop right down. And so many of you are doing this, and it's causing you to route the club back, and you make it another compensation. My body is tilted this way. My arms can hang straight down. And if I cock my left wrist and I bend my right wrist slowly, then that doesn't cause my left arm to come away as if I did it really fast. If I move the club head fast, that motion causes the reaction of my left arm to come away from my body. But if I cock it and I move it slowly, and I set it here for training purposes where I cock it and I set it to a 45-degree angle, so if I cock it and set it to a 45-degree angle, now I can here make sure that my left arm is still connected to my pectoral, and I pull my shoulders back. There's up the plain toe up, and there's my backswing. So those are a couple things to really pay attention to is when you're educating your hands, realize what happens when you do bend your right wrist. That forces my left arm to want to come away from my chest. And so when I can master this move here, well, there's my finesse wedge takeaway. Then we look at the finesse wedges. If this is my finesse wedge takeaway here, well then the downswing sequence is the club head. So you can practice just dropping the club head and let it hit the ground right behind it. Now if I take that momentum and I carry that momentum of the club head dropping down, and I use my arm and chest to carry that momentum, and then I use my hips and my knees to carry the chest and arm momentum, then this is what it would look like. So the sequence of energy is the club head first, then the arms and chest are going to carry that club head, and then the hips and the knees are going to carry that momentum. And it's just like there's a ladybug on the ball, and I don't want to harm the ladybug. This is just a finesse sequence, a finesse swing. And if you did this 1,000 times slow motion in the mirror, and this becomes your unconscious, subconscious, stock finesse wedge swing, then we can work on practicing for distance control and performance. So if I go laser beam in front, that opens my chest, I have a little bit of weight in my front foot. I then put the club right here. I do my backswing takeaway. I drop the club head first. Let the chest and arms carry that energy. Let the hips and the knee carry that energy. And my arms, my elbows are bent. You know, during the finesse wedge swing, I'm okay with bending my arms. It's in the full swing that I want to have a consistent radius of the swing so I become really good at ball striking. But the finesse wedge, we're just attempting to take the club head back, up the plain toe up, club head first, arms and chest, hips and knees, spaghetti arms, butt of the club head is pointing right at my belly button. Some of you guys are doing this. Left arm is getting away from your body. My tricep bicep is connected to my chest. And it's holding there. The chest and arm is just holding that arm in place. There's not this. I'm uncocking here, and then I'm letting the left arm just fold. In the full swing, or the distance wedge swing, the left arm isn't going to fold until it gets around here. But for the finesse wedge, I'm folding it right here. And so I can do right arm only, right here, belly button. I can do left arm only, right here. Left arm is bent. It's connected to my rib cage. So just get familiar with the club head and educate your hands on how to move the club head and use that left arm and that lead arm to fold nicely in this finesse wedge sequence. And you want to get really good, just do this. Just do it until it feels comfortable and you're doing it properly. You look at this training and see if you're doing exactly the way I'm doing it. It's the same sequence. Our styles are going to be a little bit different, but it's the same sequence. The sequence is club head, arm and chest, hips and knee. And then I'm just held out here. The other thing, when you do the right hand, I see a lot of you kind of throwing your forearm this way. And if we were arm wrestling, I'm losing. I want to lose in arm wrestling so that I can be right here, and my elbow is connected to my rib cage. And so if we go back to educating the hands, the right wrist bends. So if I just bend my right wrist, so here we are, laser beam in front, weights up front. Now I just bend my right wrist, and I pull my shoulder back 2 to 4 inches. That's why we train this best full swing part 1. Pull the shoulder back. There's no lower body movement. It's a shoulder movement, and my right wrist is bent. My right elbow is slightly bent, and my shoulders just turn back. Notice the elbow leaning. And don't get here and stop. Do one perfect rep. Club head first. Get everything here and hold that for a second. Train your brain how to build a perfect swing. Then when you need to manipulate distance control, you can do that with practice. So now I have a perfect, unconscious, subconscious finesse wedge swing. Over and over and over and over. I don't have to think about it. All I have to do is go out and find out the distance and play it. Now, after you master this sequence, then like I said, we can go out and take all your wedges and hit 10 balls with your 60-degree wedge, your 56-degree wedge, your 51-degree wedge, your 46-degree pitching wedge. Hit 10 shots going through your process and your routine, and then get the average numbers. And then you say, all right, 8 yards, 17 yards, 24 yards, 30 yards. Now you've got known numbers, and if you know that your lob wedge with this finesse wedge carries 9 yards, and you've got a 7-yard shot, well, it's just going to be, here's my normal swing, it's just going to be less energy, but the same follow through. It's going to be less energy, but the same follow through. So that's finesse wedges. This is why the best full swing series, this shoulder turn is the most critical piece in the golf swing. This right here. My lower body is not moving. My lower body is not moving. I'm a full 55-degree shoulder turn. No lower body movement. No lower body movement. And when you can practice and drill that, train that, now I can master in a mirror without ever hitting the ball my distance wedge 9 o'clock swing. 9 o'clock, 7 out of 10 energy, 1001, 1002, 1003. 1001, 1002, 1003. I can look in the camera, I can look in a mirror, I can look back and see where my arm is. It looks like 9 o'clock right there. That looks pretty good. And if you just look, it's primarily the shoulder turn. Shoulder turn, left arm elevation. 7 out of 10 energy, 1001, 1002, 1003. I made sure that my hips went past the target line. Past the target line. Keep training to go past the target line. Now, once you've mastered that 100 times in the mirror, or 30 times today and 30 times over the next 30 days, you did it 900 times, Now you've got a legitimately really good, perfect 9 o'clock distance wedge swing. Then you go out to the range, grab a small bucket of balls, hit 10 balls with your pitching wedge, 9 o'clock, 7 out of 10 energy, go through your process 10 times. You might hit 7 good and 3 bad, add the 7 up that you hit really good, and now you got a no number with your pitching wedge, and you do that with your gap wedge. You can do it with your 56-degree wedge. You can do it with your lob wedge. And then now you've got some known numbers. And when you can master this part, then you can do the other piece, which is the 2-piece drill, which is the hand path, getting your hands in the ball to start out to the right of the right-handed golfers, and getting the ball to start out to the left of the left-handed golfers, and then the turn down release, the turn down release, the turn down release, and then you become a really good ball striker. And now we're putting it all together. Long game, full swing, distance wedges, finesse wedges, bunker, and putting. We go back to the finesse wedge sequence. Here I'm trying to not harm a ladybug off the ball. In the bunker, I want to maximize my acceleration through it. So here's a finesse wedge, ladybug, ladybug, don't want to hurt the ladybug that's on the ball, bunker. Just more acceleration so you can get right through the sand and let the sand push the ball up. Slow motion training will increase the quickness that you get to 72, 75, 68, whatever your goal is, it'll get you there quicker. In this, there's some quick links. I've sent you an email with all the quick links to cover educating the hands, part 1 and 2, zone 1, 2, and 3, from the pivot to the arms to the hands. Best full swing 1 through 4, the 2-piece drill where you're getting the ball to start out right if you're right-handed, start left if you're left-handed, and then a turn down release. If you have any questions, feel free to get on my calendar and let's rock and have some fun in 2021. And I'll see you guys soon.